This week, Disney announced a new Polynesian Tower. Man, do we have some thoughts about that. We're also going to talk about Tron trains on the track. Not easy to say. All this and much more tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for March 20th, 2022. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside, and tonight we are going to be talking about many things, including some Disney Parks news, a Universal update from our friend Annie, and we're going to be recapping some March Madness. So please stick with us, hit that like button, and if you have not, please subscribe to WDWNT. Tonight, our panel, amazing as always. First off, Miss Emma Cooley.
Hello from Iowa, everyone.
Ooh, if I had a dime for every time I heard someone say that. Matt. Matt is on mute. Oh, the anticipation. Still can't hear you. Matt, think about what you've done. We'll go to Coach. And Coach.
It's game time, everybody. Excited to be here. You can already see where my thoughts are going to go if you look in the background, but we'll get there later on in the show. Good to see everybody tonight.
Nothing like a good duck butt to get things started off. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. We appreciate it. We want to start out with some hotel news because I feel like there's been a good amount of hotel news. You know, the Reflections Resort that was supposed to be over by Fort Wilderness, that was canceled. They put grass over it. They said pretend like nothing ever happened there. And now all of a sudden we're getting all this DVC news, including this construction update from the Grand Floridian that we've been talking about a little bit, where they're going to add studios. That news came out that starting June 20th, those are going to be opening, which is very soon, but that's just because they're modifying an existing area. But what I do want to ask you guys is, have you ever stayed at the Grand Floridian? And also, and I'll start with you on this one, Coach, because you look like a Grand Flo kind of guy. If you think that these these new studios will be something that you and your family would want to be a part of.
I mean, I wouldn't classify I can speak. Words are hard. Grand Floridian as a family-friendly type place for me and my family. The few times that we've been in there and we've walked around, it's usually the gingerbread houses or something along that lines. I think that's what they're trying to go for when they've taken the theming out of it a little bit and they've made it a little bit stale. Quite honestly, it needs an upgrade. It needs a reboot. And I think it's lost a lot of that luxury feel that it once had once the orchestra went away. So I think that's what they're trying to do. I know Tom mentioned it. DVC rooms and rooms of that nature, they get a huge return on investment. So I think for them, they're thinking easy way to make money, fill rooms. It's on the monorail line. Maybe that'll happen. I don't know.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that, and we're going to have a DVC show soon. I know we've been talking about that, but we're going to try to get rid of March Madness because we're going to need a full 30 minutes and a whole boatload of people who are involved with DVC to come on and talk about it. But I do think that with DVC, they're putting more rooms into play, which I think is great. But the problem is more rooms means more points. I don't know, Emma, are you involved with the DVC scam?
Yes and no. I mean, honestly, I help my parents plan their trip, which they're on right now. They are on a cruise for their 30th anniversary, which is tomorrow. So happy anniversary, Mom and Dad. But other than that, you know, I don't really get that much involved with the points and stuff. But this is what's really bothering me, and Stephanie said this last week, is that there's already such an issue with the points that are out there for Aulani and Vero Beach and Hilton Head and all these other properties that aren't at Disney World that, you know, are causing there to be this there's more demand at Disney World and not enough people spending their points at those other places to use them up. And honestly, having more rooms is great, but we're still going to have the same issue with the number of points that are out there.
Yeah, there you go. Matt, are you live now? Matt is still muted. Yeah, remember when we had Matt on? Let's look at him. Look, he's got a background all going on. He's all set. We can't hear you, buddy. Sorry.
He's got an epic facial hair. Don't forget that.
Epic facial hair. Look at that.
Jealousy. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Jealousy.
All right, well, let's move on to the next topic then, as Matt fixes some technical issues there, and we'll talk about the Pixar overlay, as I'm calling it, the announcement that we have concept art for the Toy Story Hotel that's planned to replace the Paradise Pier. This looks amazing to me, and maybe it's just going to be all stickers and things that we've seen on Paradise Pier / Pixar Pier. But this looks like a lot of fun. This is what I want from a Disney resort when I go there, is for it to feel like something that I've never seen before, to immerse me in something that I've not been able to be immersed in before, something new and exciting and different. All of this looks great with the stuff on the ceiling, all of the things floating around. I mean, I've been to that hotel before. I don't know if anybody else has, the Paradise Pier. It was one that Disney bought when they were expanding. They bought the hotel and they just themed it to the Paradise Pier Hotel. And when you go in, it very much doesn't feel like a Disney hotel. It's got a very small lobby. They've tried to do a few things. There's a statue of Goofy in the lobby, and they put a big beach ball on your bed, pillow type of a thing. But for the most part, it doesn't really feel very Disney. So it'd be really neat if they could do something like this and add it in. I'd be really excited about that. I'm going to go back to you on this one, Coach, because I feel like your kids would have a ball in a place like this.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we all want, right? We want that Disney theming. We want the theming, the immersion experience about it. I know we're going to get there on the next topic, but, there's a difference between there's an expectation, right? Especially for people that want to go and have that Disney experience. Some people, a hotel's a hotel. You go in the parks, you crash, and you sleep. But I know as my kids have gotten older and they can appreciate it more, it's that theming of it. They walk in the room, there's that reveal where you open your hotel room door and you go, whoa, and you freak out. And I know for us, we're always, wherever we stay, we always, FaceTime or whatever with somebody it's like, hey, you're not on this vacation. We are. Check out this really cool room. So I think it's good. It's much needed. If you've been in there, Rob's 100% correct. It really was kind of like, that's it. So definitely excited. Anytime they say they want to do any kind of things like that, you just hope they do it correctly. That's all.
Yeah. Emma?
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. I think it needs to work, and I agree with what Tom said about it, that it fits in with Pixar Pier. It really does, being in that area. I'm just worried that we're going to see more decals like we've seen in Toy Story Land and in Pixar Pier. So that's my only concern with this, is that they're going to do it on the cheap and for as little money as possible. I mean, because they're under this regime, they're still budget cutting every single thing that they can. So let's hope they prove us wrong for once.
Yeah, Matt's been pretty speechless about everything tonight. I don't know if he's ready to talk yet. Matt, are you ready to throw your hat in the ring on this one or not? No. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go on. We're going to start talking about the big dog of the week, the Polynesian Tower that they talked about. The news broke this week that, first off, that the luau would not be returning. The Spirit of Aloha dinner show would not be returning. And I think we kind of saw this was going to be the case. Everything else that the Polynesian has returned. I wish I could have seen this. It would have been neat to see in person. I never actually got to see this because it's one of those things where I was always thinking, oh, I'll go to that someday. But in the meantime, I want to go to the parks. So especially if you're at the Polynesian, you want to go to the parks. You get on the monorail, or are you going to spend a lot of money for a dinner show, and a lot of people have to come back and dress up? And so I think it looked like a lot of fun. But the cast was told that this offering would not be returning, and then quickly after, with great tact, Disney said, "But guess what? We're going to pave Paradise and put up a parking lot. We're going to pave this and put up what Tom is referring to as a Marriott courtyard. This is the view of what would be on the shores of the Seven Seas Lagoon, with a Polynesian theme to it. I'm not sure how much Polynesian theme I'm actually seeing to this one. What do you think, Coach? It doesn't really feel Polynesian, although I don't want to taint your opinion. Tell me what you're thinking.
Well, I was also someone that wanted to do the luau. Unfortunately, the first luau I ever went to was, well, not unfortunately, but fortunately, it was actually in Hawaii. So it was one of those things where we never got a chance to do it. However, most of the time when we look at the concept art, we think, wow, it's going to be this amazing thing. And this is one of these times where I'm like sort of hoping the concept art is not representative of what's going to actually take place. I kind of want a reverse situation going on here. I get it. They want to open rooms and they want to go that route. But I mean, Tom read that press release, and I mean, you couldn't really honoring the history of what? Courtyard Marriott? I mean, it's ridiculous. This is, as to quote Tom, hot garbage, and I think that's kind. I think it's hot garbage floating in the middle of the lagoon on fire, out of control. I think this is just completely ridiculous. We deserve better than this, and the outrage on Twitter and social media and everything else is just, I mean, please, everyone, just talk about how terrible this is. We deserve better. I mean, it's just, if we don't put our foot down on this one, I mean, when are we gonna? That's just my opinion on that.
Matt desperately looks like he wants to say something. Are you up? Oh, can't hear you. Nope. Okay. You know who really? He's gonna leave. Bye-bye. We're gonna go to Emma. Emma's gonna talk a little bit.
Yeah, this just sent me to a whole other place this week. I'm sorry, but how in the world can you even think to one iota that this is paying tribute to Disney history? This is literally every single Holiday Express and I've stayed in on this tour. Like, I just don't understand, especially with such a classic loved resort, that you're gonna ruin it with this stinking building that looks like the freaking Marriott. No, you gotta have that theming, you gotta have that charm, especially since you're replacing a cherished show, I'm sure, to many people who have gone to Spirit of Aloha before. So if you're, Chapek really just is getting up. But I honest to God, they really, like, people take to Twitter and publicly shame them about this, because we cannot have this happen on the lagoon. This cannot happen.
Yeah. And RIP Matt. Actually, Matt had some problems, but that's okay. He's fine. He's all good. We will carry on without him. We got a lot of other stuff to talk about, including...
Hey, Rob, can I ask you, there are shirts about this tower already. Do you know this? You know the
Lord.
shirts that people wear? The shirts that people wear in the park?
You're scaring me.
I'm done adulting. I'm going to Disney. Yeah, they're done adulting with decision-making processes. That's what we need an adult in the room to explain to them how things work. That's my comment.
Coach, how many times have I said we're not going to surf new material on show night? Do all that stuff beforehand.
Listen, I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you, this is absurd. And I was expecting a Cooley rant, and I got one, and I'm excited about it.
Well, fantastic. That's really what we needed tonight then. All right, so you know what? Here's my thing though about it, is the other side of the coin is that it is new Disney. I love new Disney. I'm always excited about new Disney. Do I wish it looked like what they said? Yes, absolutely. I wish it looked Polynesian. I think it does not look Polynesian to me. But then again, what do I really know? I do like the idea that there are new amenities coming, new restaurants, that kind of thing. What I hope happens, and I think we all do, is that somewhere along the line Disney goes, okay, this is listed as a proposed project. Maybe they'll say, we put it out there, we wanted to see what people thought. They're not loving it. Maybe they go back in and make it look more like the Polynesian. They just did this huge overhaul to make the Polynesian look, kind of return it to its original glory, right? And then they're going to put this thing next to it and call it Poly. That's not the same. At least with Bay Lake Tower, that building complemented the contemporary, and it wasn't as big in your face. I think this one looks like it's going to overshadow what we know as the Polynesian. So again, most people, I think, who aren't diehard Disney will probably, and Tom, I think, said this again in his rant about people who vacation will probably love it. I'm a fan of things that are immersive Disney. I always think if somebody's going with kids, you know what, Grand Floridian may not be for you because it doesn't have enough theming, in my opinion, you know, for little kids. Now, again, it has some beautiful theming, but I feel like, you know, a little kid would rather see a 4-foot, you know, or 4-story tall Buzz Lightyear than they would see, you know, the grand entryway into the Grand Floridian. So I would love to see something a little more well themed. It seems like we're on a track of that with Creation Shop and the things that they're doing at EPCOT, the Swan Reserve, buildings like that. They just look a little too plain to be called Disney. So anyway, I think it'll be interesting to see if they make any changes based on the outcry, but I think most people have been very upset about what they've seen here. Moving on. So housekeeping. We've talked about housekeeping a little bit in the past, but housekeeping is one of those things where they started out even before COVID, I think, playing around with the idea that they weren't sure that that everybody wanted housekeeping on a daily basis, and maybe they could save some money. And I know that I was offered a gift card at one point that said, hey, we can have you skip housekeeping and just give you a gift card. And at the time, my wife was like, wait a minute, we get a gift card and they were not going to come into our room? Sounds great. I'm in. But then, you know, I think we got to a point with when COVID came that they were like, well, we're going to clean every other day. I actually stayed in a place near Disneyland, not a Disneyland hotel, but near Disneyland, where they were just like, we're not going to clean your room throughout your vacation. So,
Wow.
you know, it's returning to what they're saying, you know, pre-pandemic schedule. At select Walt Disney World Resort hotels. So today, March 20th, it was supposed to return to Riviera, Old Key West, Saratoga Springs, and then here's a list of places that it has returned to. So, you know, it seems weird that during a time of COVID and we need cleanliness that they would have opted out of cleaning as much, but I don't know. Emma, what do you think about this?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I'm used to the DVC way of it getting done every 4 days. But honestly, I think you're paying so much for a resort that if you want housekeeping every day, you should get housekeeping every single day. You know, that is included in the price of your hotel. So I think it's a good thing that it's coming back. You know, personally, I would opt to not have it just because it is kind of peace of mind that nobody's coming into your room. And that's only, you know, I feel like I have a heightened sense of security with that because we got this big honkin' expensive sound system with us on tour that we have to make sure is safeguarded. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this isn't really going to change anything Disney experience wise for me, but I'm glad for the people that would like it. It's coming back.
Yeah, Coach.
Yeah, I think it's just a result of the initiative that they had to try to hire more housekeeping. They gave a lot of bonuses out. And I think this is just the result of them finally getting the staff to actually offer this as a service, right? So I was kind of expecting it to come back to the deluxe. I'm a little surprised they're going to offer it to everything, but I think it's a good thing. If you want to opt out of it, they can still do that incentive-based program. And I imagine that, much like your wife, my wife is the same way. Why do we need people walking in and out of our room? You know, this is great. And they're going to give us a gift card? Lovely. So she's definitely in that camp, and I agree with her, but I think it's just a result of that initiative they put out, quite honestly. So,
yeah. So, you know, again, to me, it's like as long as we have fresh towels, and if I have back in the day when you had the opportunity to get more bottles of shampoo, that's one thing. But if it's just refilling the thing on the wall, we're fine. We don't need you to come into it. That's fine. Let's talk a little bit about park stuff now. Moving to the parks, there are a lot of updates for EPCOT. So they've added to the great construction walls of EPCOT. They've added the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they're directional. So that's coming soon. We saw this in the Connections Cafe. This lighting fixture that doesn't look like what I expected there to be there. It looks like something like a huge chandelier. We also saw that they've started working on the mural in the background, so that's getting a lot closer to happening. We saw that the guest relations has been shut down. So again, a lot of the stuff we've been used to seeing from EPCOT and the Wallcott, as we've been jokingly calling it, but a lot of other things are coming to fruition finally. It's exciting to think that the walls will be coming down, that things will actually be able to be seen when you walk in. I can't imagine somebody going in for the first time and the things that are missing from there and then not being able to see it for as long as it's been down, because it was down well before we had our pandemic break, which was over 2 years ago. So, Coach, you got to experience Wallcott recently. What was your fun experience with your kids? Did they ask any questions?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, my kids, for the most part, are like, "Oh, this is the park with the big ball and all the walls around it." But they're definitely making progress. Progress is good, and I think a lot of us are kind of been sort of waiting, still waiting. But yeah, it's definitely good to see the progress. I know we'll be there back this summer, so we can hopefully go on Cosmic Rewind and kind of see what happens with that. But again, the lovely 18-month celebration. It's frustrating for all of us to kind of say, hey, the parks were shut down. You could have done a lot of this stuff beforehand. And I would argue at a cheaper cost, because even now materials are cheaper are more expensive than they were, and you could have worked basically uninterrupted all through the night, even with smaller crews. but it is what it is. It's where we're at this point. So hopefully they can start seeing visual progress. It's always good when you see things. I think like with Tron, which we'll get to, there was a lot of inside stuff going on we couldn't see, and that's always kind of frustrating. So you always like to see the actual visual stuff. You kind of get encouraged moving forward. So,
well, and then just as we're getting excited about things opening up again, the EPCOT experience is now closed off. The Odyssey blocked off. I mean, again, it seems like a bad time to close more stuff at EPCOT, don't you think, Emma?
Correct. And it's already bad enough. We're already waiting on so many more construction projects, and now they're going to another one? Tell me how that makes sense. Like, I mean, Guardians is finally going to have some stinking walls taken down. I mean, what really got me is listening last week and just how annoying it was when you guys were talking about the shareholders call, and they said, "Oh, we're not liquid enough to like finish all this." I was like, "What do you mean?" Like that just drove me up a wall. So I mean, finally, like it's one small step, but like Disney, you better get booking. There's still a lot of work to do, and I would be very upset if Epcot was still like this for the 40th.
Yeah, Moana's Journey of Dirt is still happening. That's always exciting. Again, this has been this way for so long. There's so much going on, as you said, all at the same time. The one I think fun thing that we heard about was that there are some Easter eggs hidden within the Cosmic Rewind to the Universe of Energy, specifically the Ding Dang reference that Ellen makes. That's going to be. It's going to be interesting to see where that happens. I think they're just trying to like distract us. Like, never mind all that stuff that's not done over here. We've got some really cool stuff coming to the one thing that's going to open this year. Exactly. Yep. Look over here. Look over here. Don't look at that. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's fun, but like, Zach has got some interesting things to share with us, doesn't he? He's got like Easter eggs, floor tiles, lighting, light bulbs, all this kind of stuff to distract us because there's not much going on, right? I mean, we know this is opening. It's going to be a while. Every little step, they'll probably, give themselves a pat on the back and say, hey, here's something else you can look forward to. I just want to see this stuff open. We finally got to see Remy's Ratatouille Adventure open, even though that took a while, and that happened back in October. So I'm excited to see this attraction. I don't want to put that down in any way, shape, or form. I hope that this is amazing and it gives a throwback to Universe of Energy and Ellen. So we'll see how that works. All right, so moving on to the next thing is Tomorrowland. So Tomorrowland is a little place over in the Magic Kingdom. Maybe you guys have heard of it. One of the things that they've finally done is that they have said that Stitch's Great Escape, which they never said was closing, they finally took down the last sign. Also, we've gotten a lot of progress on the grid. So again, not many announcements have been made, but it's actually starting to look like the concept art. It's got all these cool patterns and the canopies that they've put up. They actually put the Tron coaster on the track for a push-pull, which is a huge first step in us seeing this attraction happen. But like the Velocicoaster, they really haven't told us much, given us an opening date or anything. They're just building stuff, which I don't know. How do you feel about that, Emma? Would you rather them not tell us anything and surprise us?
I don't know. That's the thing, right? It's like there's been so many undelivered promises that part of me is like, nah, I don't want to know because you're just going to delay it again. And you know what I mean? There's a lot of mistrust there. At the same time, I want to know, when's it going to be done? Please and thank you, because I would like to plan a trip to go ride it. You know what I'm saying? But I was very happy to see the push-pull test happening. That's very, very exciting. Still long overdue. Like, Disney, come on, get it together. Like, you still have a lot of... This should have been done for the 50th, and there's no excuse that it's still taking this long.
Yeah. Well, not all heroes wear capes, but we have a hero with us today. Desi, what do you think about all this?
Desi!
Yay!
Please be not muted. Oh, are you serious right now? Are you serious right now?
Oh my god. VMix, what are you doing to us?
Yeah. Okay, all right.
Can you hear me?
Way too loud, but yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. I got overly excited about jumping in last minute. Hi. I am very excited for Tron to look like it might actually open soon. And I hope that, like, soon meaning this year. So could be before even the 51st anniversary. So who knows? We will see.
Well,
very
but as
sad
you
about the last Stitch sign going away. Even though I didn't like the ride, I still love Stitch himself.
Yeah, the boy deserves something in the parks, I think. It's something of note. So hopefully someday they'll do something worthy of him more than just the overlay they did. Stitch Mountain. Maybe we could do nobody. So the one thing though about this that I'm talking about though is like Universal's been famous for like, hey, we're building something. Like Velocicoaster, how far done was that before they and we'll talk to Annie about that when she comes on. But like, how far done was that before they went, oh, by the way, that thing that we're almost done with, that's going to be called Velocicoaster. We already knew it, but they hadn't made any announcements about it. Versus this thing that was announced, I don't know, 90 years ago, and it's still, they haven't given us any updates in a while, but, to your point about the, as long as it's done within the 18 months of the 50th anniversary, boy, it still counts as the 50th, doesn't it? Coach, are your kids excited about this thing at all, or they're like, Dad, what's Tron?
No, every time we go, because we've been several times, they're just like, what is that thing? And I'll be like, that's a roller coaster you're going to get to ride before your 18th birthday, hopefully. They're 7 and 5. It's, I think like anything else, I think it's going to be like the last week of the 18-month celebration. That's just my cynical self. I also believe that since we're going in August, it'll probably be September, just to spite me. But I think they're waiting. Like anything else, we kind of made this joke about the celebration that they're going to slowly release all the things that they promised before. And that's what I think is going to happen. Somebody said in chat October. I don't know if they're being serious, but they're probably right. But at least we see cars. At least we see some sort of movement going on. So that's exciting.
Well, we have a super chat from Chief Lee, $5. Thank you, Chief, for this. Isn't the show called Coach Center? I think there's a typo in the title. By the way, great show tonight,
Chief.
as
That'll be
always.
Chief.
Yeah. So, wow. You know what? You Chief, get a room. That's all I'm saying. So. He's a huge fan.
I don't know.
He's a huge fan. So anyway, let's move on and talk about Easter because I'm really excited about this, and I don't know if I'm the only one that gets excited about this. I do kind of want to remind you that at one point, like the Christmas parade, there used to be a Walt Disney World Easter parade that was broadcast. I was excited about that. It was another time to get to see something in the parks, but now I'm excited about the offerings that they put out there, and it looks like they've got some great stuff set up in this grand cottage that is inside of the Grand Floridian. They've got this really cool balloon that we hear is kind of just a copy of some Japanese artwork that they already had from Tokyo, but I'll take it. This box from the Grand Cottage looks pretty fantastic. All of these offerings look really amazing, and so most of these are at the Grand Floridian, which I guess has been, I mean, is it because it looks like a large Easter egg? Is that why they've done that? This is I love the Easter egg displays that they do over there, but the one thing I'm looking at with this one is whatever they've sat this thing on looks really budget. This thing underneath it looks like they just like folded a cart and put it under there to present this wonderful piece of artwork that they've put together. Kind of a bummer there, but have any of you guys been over, and I'm assuming Desi, you have at some point, to the Grand Floridian to look at the Easter eggs every year?
I haven't seen these ones.
But you've been.
I've been in the past, but I really like these ones. The Spaceship Earth one, I think, is my favorite one this year. I think that they're all super adorable, and I didn't think it looked that cheap. The little cart. You're getting too picky, Rob.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, they put so much work into this stuff that I just look at it and then I'm like, it really deserves to be put on a pedestal, not a rolly cart. But I mean, if that was the only way to get it in there, then that's fine. I do love this.
The point was it was supposed to be a carriage. That's why it's on a rolling thing, right? Sure.
But I mean, these eggs are always magnificent, and they're all like actual, made out of chocolate, and they're, they put them inside.
Chocolate.
Calm down. They put them inside the lobby of the Grand Floridian. So if you're over there and you get a chance, get off on that monorail stop, go in, take the family, look around. It's really neat to see these things. It's set up kind of like an Easter egg museum when you're in there. This one I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know what's happening with Walt's shoulders there because his head dropped a little bit, but I do love the way the castle's laid out with the plans at the bottom and the castle at the top and the name tag next to it. Looks really cool. But all the care and just attention that is taken to put these things together is just really wonderful, and it's one of the things that when I go during Easter time is one of the things that I most look forward to. Emma, Coach, either of you guys been during this time to see them?
Sadly, no, but I want to. I
Sadly,
think
no,
those
but
things
shock
are
and surprise.
gorgeous. They're beautiful.
Shock and surprise
This
when you let the
cottage-
artists be artists. It's amazing.
This
just like the
cottage
festivals.
has nothing on the Christmas time one, though.
True. Yeah, I mean, for the Christmas one, they go all out and they make it out of gingerbread. This one, I mean, it's nice that they put this together. I don't remember seeing this in the past, but that's a cool thing. So
That bunny butt has nothing on Donald's duck butt either.
this bunny butt right here.
Yep.
Okay. There you go. Well, so I jumped ahead a little bit to these parade problems. I feel like we got to talk about this, right? I mean, you know, so they had this drill team from Texas whose mascot is the Indian come in and do a performance in the Magic Kingdom. The video shows them doing war dances but ahead of time they were told, oh, you guys can't wear the headdresses. So clearly they knew that something was going to happen. And the name of the drill team is the Indianettes. What did you think when you heard that the name was going to be the Indianettes that you would see? So again, here's the picture. So the headdresses looked like this. They did not wear the headdresses, but Disney said that the performance did not reflect the audition tape. And again, they were named the Indianettes. So here's a little bit of the video that they did, or you know, walking down Main Street. So I feel like it's 2022 and we should know better, and yet every now and then they just pull another surprise here. So Desi, thoughts?
They shouldn't be that surprised because apparently this same exact cheerleading squad has been there a few years ago with the full headdress. So at least they knew, okay, we're going to remove the headdress. They still, I'm pretty sure, had the same chant that they had from a few years ago. Still the same names, still the same outfits. So I don't know how they can say, oh, we had no idea, when clearly you did, and they've been at Disney in the past, and you could, if it didn't, you know, reflect their audition tape, I'm sure you could have easily figured it out in some kind of rehearsals. I mean, do they just, nobody has any say in anything until they just show up and just walk down Main Street and can just say and shout whatever they want? I don't know.
Yeah. Emma?
I just don't understand how Disney could be preaching inclusivity and like allow this kind of performance to happen in their parks. It's wrong. It's completely immoral, and like the fact that you have a group of people using cultural and religious things from a culture that is not their own for not the purpose that those are intended to be used for. That's you shouldn't be doing that. That's cultural appropriation. Like that plain and simple. That's what it is. And the fact that Disney even allowed them to perform after they've performed several times at the parks before is just mind-boggling to me. This team, until they rectify this situation and completely change what they're doing, they should not be allowed to perform in a Disney park if Disney is truly going to preach inclusivity.
Yep. All right. We'll move on from this one, Coach. I'm sure you have thoughts, but we can talk about it in post show if you like. Let's talk about COVID being behind us, because it feels in so many ways like it kind of is, right? There are a lot of things, like they took away the mask mandates from the parks. You only had to wear masks on transportation. Now we've gotten the word that, like, now you don't have to wear it on the Skyliner, which is, that's good news. We don't have to wear masks on the Skyliner. Honestly, just between us, maybe I was taking it off as soon as we pulled away from the station and putting it back on when I got there. You don't know. You don't know. But if I was in the thing by myself, I was just kind of like, I would take a break there because fresh air, et cetera, if I was by myself. Now it's nice to me that this is gone. Just one more thing that says we're moving forward. The other thing is that the plexiglass that was in some of the stores has started to go away. And I've talked to people who were like, why would you ever take that away? Why wouldn't you leave that? Because, there are always reasons, germs, etc., to leave things like that up. I think a lot of it was put up temporarily, and it looked very just flimsy, cheap, exactly, not well put together. So I mean, if in some of the cases where you have like the low glass things that they put in like the nicer hotels on the counter, I see that. I mean, that's not a huge deal, but it is, I think, very Disney to be able to interact with the cast member. And so when you have that hand around the edge like you do at Target or anywhere else, it feels a little less than. But again, that was one of the things that we did to get back as a society into the parks, is to be able to have all of these things in place. But now they've decided that it's not necessary, and they've taken some of the stuff away, which I think feels, again, very positive that we're moving in the right direction. Coach, I don't know if you felt any of that when you were there, that, as the restrictions were lifting, but
yeah,
how do you feel about this?
When we went in the summer, we actually were in the middle of when they said you didn't need masks, and then you did. They put the restriction back on. So that was, we kind of experienced the kind of have and have not. And then we went in November when they, it was like, it's optional, whatever. I think like anything else, I think it's to use the cliche, a moving target in a lot of ways. Working in higher ed, and I can tell you, we were on spring break playing our games down in South Carolina. It was just like it was like never a thing apparently in that state. So coming from Connecticut, where it still very much is, so I think it's one of those things where all of those, we sort of kind of knew that, we at least hoped that it was behind us. I think we're all I think there's a fatigue associated with it as well. Fatigue from the cast members, fatigue from people in general, saying, okay, how long are we going to deal with this? What restrictions are going to change today? If I walk into this store, I have to wear one. If I don't, kind of thing. So I think part of this maybe is just a way of them saying, all right, this is the policy we're going to go with. If you want to choose to wear a mask or do whatever, you can. And I ultimately think that's what their policy is going to be moving forward. That's kind of my thoughts on that.
Yeah. Desi?
I have not seen cast members use the mask or use the in a long time. Always, if you're trying to hear what somebody is saying, or there's like an exchange of goods, they always like come over to the side where the plexiglass isn't. So it just seemed like a waste of space anyways, and it's bad show. So I'm happy it's going away.
Okay. And Emma?
Yeah, I'm happy it's going away too. I mean, if anything, there have been some studies that plexiglass can actually make that like airflow worse and make it even riskier being inside. So maybe it's a good thing that plexiglass is going away. And I agree. Like, it's really hard to hear someone have a mask and then they're behind plexiglass. So this is a very good thing.
Very cool. All right, so one last topic that I wanted to, actually two quick topics. One of them is that, kind of on the heels of that, China going the opposite direction. We just got news that Shanghai which was the first park to close back in, January of 2020, is now going to be closed starting tomorrow. because of COVID and a resurgence of COVID. And we all already saw that Hong Kong has extended its closure until April 20th, which again, as we're over here and we're taking away plexiglass and, you know, relaxing the mandates for masks and all of these things that we're doing, we got rid of temperature checks a long time ago. I can't remember the last time I was in a park and somebody was actually more than 3 feet away from me. So it's really one of those things where it feels like we're getting to the point on our side domestically where like things are kind of getting back to normal, but then, you know, on the other side, these parks that had gotten hit first are seeing such a bad, you know, flow that they're shutting things down again. So I mean, I don't really know what to say about this other than the fact that I'm just kind of, you know, obviously concerned, because I would hate to see us get back into that point, but it's really kind of weird for us to have our parks wide open and for these parks to there still to be closures. It's kind of sobering, for lack of a better term. Anybody have any other comments on that one?
I remember when the park. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
No, go ahead, Desi. Ladies first.
I remember. Oh, I just saw my name says Hero. I think
Yeah, you're a hero.
Heroine,
You gotta go
but
first.
Okay. I remember when the parks over there originally closed, and I thought, oh man, that's so crazy. Well, that would never happen here. So now to see them closing over there, I'm saying, oh, that's crazy. We will never shut down again. But now I'm getting nervous thinking that through out loud.
Okay. Coach, you were going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's a little bit of a different situation in terms of who's making the calls and who's making those decisions, right? It's a much more uniform type of situation over there. Use whatever word you choose to use, but when they decide they're going to shut the parks, I think it's a small group of people making the call, not a different state or different things going on. So I think you've got a little bit different attitude. In some cases, it's government controlled. In some cases, it's not. So it's not necessarily an apples to apples, but I agree with Desi where it's like anytime that something like that happens, you go, whoa, is that going to end up coming back over here? We already went through this one. You know, we don't want to do this again. We like having our parks open. So. Yep.
All right, let's just for the sake of time jump over to this one, and we'll let Emma start on this one. But so we had rumor that the Hoop-de-Doo review, musical review that was over at Fort Wilderness was to be closed and was not to come back and was to be replaced with a bluegrass music act at Pioneer Hall. You know, this feels a lot like some of the stuff we've heard about, like the Finding Nemo show and some other things where we've heard one thing and then Disney actually reached out and said, oh, by the way, this is not a thing, but they refused to comment exactly onto when the Hoop-de-Doo review would come back or what it would be when it did come back. So I still think it's a little sketchy. Nobody said, no, it's definitely coming back. It'll be back May 23rd, and everybody's excited for it. No one said anything specific about it.
Stitch
I've never
was
seen this.
Come back too.
What's that?
Stitch was supposed to come back too.
And the luau. Yeah. So and minivans. But anyway, so with this one in particular, you know, this is a cherished, time-honored show, very much like the luau, and very much like the luau. I've never seen it, and so I mean, it's one of those things where like now that it's not maybe coming back, I have some regrets that I wish I could see it. So hopefully it does come back. But what are your thoughts on this one, Cooley?
This needs to come back. I'm sorry. It's just like ridiculous it is that we still don't have Stratosphere back. Rehire these entertainers. Like bring back the show. Just do it already. I don't understand why Disney is sitting on their heels about this. Like it's a popular show. People are gonna come. They're going to make the money. So to me, it's a no-brainer. And yes, I get it that it takes time to, you know, cast people and so like it's still gonna be a while, I think, before it does come back. I mean, I haven't seen any audition postings for it on their on the DisneyAuditions.com website, but honestly, they need to bring it back. Like it's a fun show, and if you haven't seen it, please do when it comes back. But I'm going to be very sad if this show is not what it is 100% right out of the gate, because it needs to be exactly the way it was.
So it needs to come back the way it was, and you need to be the star. Got it.
Yes.
I didn't
Got
say that.
Rob, are you saying that WWNT reported something, Disney denied it, and then it eventually came true? Like that's never happened, except every time we report something. I'm just trying to get clarification on what you said, because Disney's spokesperson's like, "Oh yeah, no, it's not going to happen." Because I think Tom has scruples now, if I'm not mistaken. So, because he was scrupulous before, but
Coach is in a mood.
Listen,
Oof.
I'm just saying, don't call us out. Like Tom sort of kind
Good
of
night, everybody.
things, right? Yeah.
Sorry, Desi, thoughts?
It's again another thing, just like you, Rob, that I have never seen, because I thought, it will always be there, and I feel bad because I do have a friend who, I think he was mostly friends with Gaston at Hollywood Studios, but he also did the hoop-de-doo just because it was fun for him to do to get extra hours, and it just, I'm heartbroken I haven't done it yet. I hope it really does come back.
Yeah, I think I mean, again, these are things that were popular. It's not like it was something that no one was going to, because I think that there were times where I may have looked into this or looked into the luau for a family vacation, and not only was it a little bit pricey, which again, it's not going to be pricey if it's not in demand. So I feel like they were probably making money on these things. They were doing well. They were time-honored traditions. They, all of these things. So I'm hoping that it comes back. But it does seem, like you said, Coach, a little bit like it feels a little familiar to situations that we've had in the past. So I'm a little bit apprehensive about the idea of it coming back, and wondering what it's going to look like if and when it does. So hopefully it'll come back and we'll be all good. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Thank you guys for talking about Disney parks. We're going to take a quick commercial break and come back with our good friend Annie, who is going to be talking to us a little bit about the updates happening at Universal Studios. So thank you guys so much, and we will be back right after this.
Welcome to Deep in the Plus. Each week, join host Rob Whiteside and a panel of Disney superfans as they take a different movie or TV show from the Disney Plus catalog, tell you its history, details, give their review, and let you know if it's worth your time. Current shows, classic movies, and everything in between. Watch Deep in the Plus live Tuesday nights at 9 Eastern for new episodes, or catch Deep in the Plus anytime on YouTube at unplanneddowntime.com.
And welcome back. Thank you again so much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it. If you have not already, please give us a thumbs up. It helps people to find the show. Hope you're enjoying the show. Join us in the chat. We love chatting along with everybody. And, most of the show is always about Disney parks, Disney news, and that kind of thing. But there's another park that we like to talk about, and another person we like to talk about those parks with, and it is our correspondent, Annie. How are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to talk about not that. That's something else. That's great. We're going to talk about you went to the grand opening or the reopening of Poseidon's Adventure, Poseidon's Fury, that was closed, and now again it was closed today. Do you know why it was closed today after it took 2 years to open up?
I think they might just be having some technical issues still. I noticed the other day when I was there it was delayed and it opened pretty quickly, but it looks like they might just be having a rough start. Usually attractions, when they open, they do have their technical rehearsals, which allow them to kind of work out the bugs. So I think we can maybe give them a little bit of a break, but the show was great. When I saw it, I saw the first show. Taylor was hysterical and totally ushered us through the entire temple. The water tunnel was fantastic. The lighting looked good. The projections. I have so many nice things to say about it. I really do.
So it looked refurbished. It looked like it's something that they took some care and time while it was closed to like bring it back to its original glory, or did it just look like it always did?
No, it really looked refreshed. Like, I've seen the show, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but at the very end, the images projected on the water and things like on the screens, I couldn't tell what was happening, so I almost kind of lost interest. And when I saw it just now with the reopening, it's so bright, you can totally see exactly what's happening. So I don't know if they've just gotten maybe updated projectors or something, but it looked really good. You can really tell everything looked fresh, painted, the outside, the inside. They did a great job.
You know, it's one of those things you can really miss, and I'm thinking I've been back and I haven't really missed it, but it's something that I've enjoyed doing in the past. But it's so far over to the side. It's like if you're taking your kids and dragging them from Seuss Landing over to see something in the Wizarding World, you're gonna miss this because it's off and over to the side. I almost thought that because it was closed for so long, and maybe you thought this too, that it wouldn't be coming back at all.
I know a lot of people were very worried that it's an older show. It's not as popular, like you said. They're really running to Wizarding World or now Velocicoaster, so they just kind of, like, the Lost Continent is just cut through. The Eighth Voyage of Sinbad has been gone for years now, so really there's not as much life in that area. It doesn't kind of, get people to stop. So I know that a lot of people were just worried it was going to be, like, completely gone. And so when the construction walls came up, there were a lot of rumors it was going to get a re-theme, and then I think they pulled back some of the construction walls just so that we could see the sign that still said Poseidon's Fury, almost like a, hey, it's safe, don't worry. So I think that kind of calmed a lot of people's, concern.
Well, so for anybody who hasn't been on this, and again, you talked about this, I'm not going to give any spoilers from it, but it is really more of an experience. When we label this as an attraction, it's not a ride. It is really more of an experience and show that you go through and experience Poseidon's Fury. And the effects I haven't seen it in a while, but the effects have always been amazing. And it's definitely something that you should look into taking people to see. And I'm glad it's back, because I think, again, there are so few attractions in these parks that I think that with all of the hugely popular ones, you need somewhere for other people to go. I miss that Sinbad show. I wish that was still there. I wish they would do something else in that space too.
Same. And I'm going to just throw out a little pro tip, is that there's no height restriction for Poseidon's Fury. There's, very few requirements because it's more of a walkthrough experience, not a ride. And it stays open during lightning storms. So my pro tip is always do it, with summer coming up, you're going to have those storms. Poseidon's a good place. The line is inside. The show is inside. By the time you come out, the storm's gone. So that's my pro tip.
Are you saying that there are rainstorms in Florida in the summer? That doesn't seem right. That's weird.
If you blink, you miss them. But
okay, sure. That's what it is. The other thing I wanted to kind of talk about here is that Mardi Gras is still going on. The last time you were on, you talked about all the great things that were happening for Mardi Gras, and again, in following Universal Parks news today, I see things almost daily still coming out for Mardi Gras, and I forget because we've already passed traditional Mardi Gras and Fat Tuesday. I forget that this thing goes on until April 24th. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe that's the date. Yeah, so there's still a lot of time. There's still more things trickling in. There's lots of time to get out there. They've still got the discount merchandise or the discount food cards and things available.
So you've got a full, complete foodie guide with reviews that's up on UniversalParksNewsToday.com. A lot of the foods that we've looked at before, everything very Instagrammable. And man, every time I stop on that king cake, I'm like, I need that in my life. I need the beignets. Geez, so much good-looking food there. And you said this is kind of the best year for food that you've seen yet?
It's fantastic. And I'm really hoping a lot of the things will maybe stay afterwards, because I noticed that the Black Sesame ice cream from Halloween Horror Nights is now permanently on the menu at Monsters Cafe. So I'm hoping that ube ice cream stays somewhere I can still get this bubble waffle, because that I will not stop talking about. But we also have like the video. A bunch of us went out for the first day of Mardi Gras and we ate all the food. So if you check out the Universal Parks News Today YouTube channel, we've got the food review there, as well as, like you said, the foodie guide. But there's so much going on, and I can't stop eating. So if I look a little
You look amazing. You look amazing. So let me ask you about this one, the edible beads. I mean, those are just candy necklaces, right? Is that what those are?
Yeah, but it's themed. It's themed, you know?
Sure.
You take a chocolate chip cookie and shape it like Mickey, and it's special.
Ow.
I mean,
Ow.
you know,
Okay. All right. No point.
You can take candy necklaces and call them Mardi Gras beads.
Point taken. Point taken. But I mean, there's some other cool things like this Mardi Gras chocolate gator. Okay. I mean, is that something that's a traditional Mardi Gras treat that I missed out on? There's king cake and gators.
I'm not sure about the gators, but I think last year they had like a giant chocolate pirate coin. So I think this year they've gone with a gator. So if you like giant chocolate things, you can't go wrong. There's also some like what are they, cordials, or they're like some bourbon chocolate things, and there's little Mardi Gras boxes, so cute little souvenir tins to go with them. So I like to talk about food. I'm sorry.
No. Don't be sorry. The one last thing for Mardi Gras I wanted to talk about, though, is the concert series, because the concert series, as far as I can see, goes through March 27th. Does that just mean that they haven't scheduled anything for April yet, or does that mean it ends in March?
I think it's going to end in March. I've seen people asking Universal if there were concerts in April, and I don't think I've seen anything officially said of any announcements. So I'm guessing it's just through the end of March.
So the Revivalist on March 25th, Jimmy Allen on March 26th, and Jason Derulo on March 27th are the final three shows. But you went to see Marshmello. Tell me about that.
Yes, it was great. Honestly, not gonna lie, I had no idea who Marshmello was, and when they first announced it, you know, I don't know. I'm not with the times, I guess. But when they first announced it, someone said to me "Oh man, can you believe Marshmello's coming?" And I just played it off yeah, I'm so excited. And then I had to figure out who Marshmello was. But it was really exciting. I went. Jill went with me. We had a good time. There were all the 10-year-olds who were just rocking out. It was great. It was like a kid rave. I don't know. All these little kids with their little marshmallow heads and outfits on. And I mean, there were plenty of adults there enjoying it as well. But it's such a family, friendly environment that people feel they can take their 10-year-old kid to a concert, and these kids are just having a great time. I was having a great time. Concerts are great, especially being free and everything like that. You can't complain.
Well, I'm glad you went, because lately I've been thinking I want you to be happier. Boom.
I get
boom. Yeah, now you get it. Sure, now you get it. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the other thing that Universal does so well, which is Halloween Horror Nights. And I know, of course, it's March. We want to talk about Horror Nights, but I feel like there must be people whose job it is 24/7, 365 to eat, sleep, think, breathe Halloween Horror Nights for Universal, as big a deal as it is for them. And the one thing that has come up, and I don't know where these come from, and maybe you could tell me, is speculation maps of what the Halloween Horror Night houses will be this year. Where do these come from?
So we've been getting them from HN Nightmares on Twitter, and so we really appreciate that. They are just speculations, so they're going to change over time. Things, as they get more tips, as they I think a lot of people just look over and see certain things happening and maybe tip them to what they've seen, so that's how they speculate. Someone had messaged and asked us how close these speculation maps are, and other than last year, I've never followed along, but I went and looked at last year's through the months leading up, and granted they did have an extra year to speculate, but it was pretty accurate, so I wouldn't be surprised that a few of these are right. Again, probably going to see things change, but I don't know how I feel about the lineup. I'm always a big fan of the originals, but some of them look like repeats from previous years. So I don't know how I'm going to feel about that.
Fear Street, Underground Creatures, The Evil Dead, The Last of Us, Halloween, The Weeknd. Oh my gosh, I am so afraid of The Weeknd. He is just menacing. I don't think we're really talking about that weekend, are we?
No, we are. We are.
Are we really? We're talking about the artist The Weeknd?
Oh, that's the weekend we're talking about.
He's going to jump out and scare us. Well, I mean, you know, what was it? Was it a Super Bowl performance that he did where he was running around in the House of Mirrors and all that kind of stuff? I guess that could be a thing.
A lot of people say there are a lot of like kind of horror elements in the music videos and things that he puts out. I know some of the music. I'm not like a huge fan, so I don't know for a fact, but you know, it seems like people were commenting saying that didn't seem that unbelievable, but you know, that could just be a throwaway there.
The last time I went was when they did Ghostbusters, and that year it was Ghostbusters and it was Stranger Things, and I feel like there was one more that was like a pop thing. But for me, if it's something a little bit more mainstream, I'm more excited about it. These don't look very mainstream, but I think they clearly have to change it every year to make it interesting. I think in the past couple of years, Beetlejuice has been a house that I wish I had gotten to see. So, I mean, I think it looks like it's missing that one thing that would be kind of a fun thing, like Ghostbusters, like Beetlejuice. No?
Yeah, the not as overly scary, but still considered Halloween. I feel that, yeah.
So the house lineup, that was the one for Orlando. The house lineup for Hollywood includes the new Jordan Peele movie, Nope, and then also Killer Clowns, that was one that I remember seeing again in 2019 in Florida. So, you know.
And that's what I said was like some of them are repeats. Like we've seen Halloween a few times now. Killer Clowns has been done. I believe that Pandora's Box was another one that was done. So again, maybe these will change, but again, you're just going to have to stay tuned to Universal Parks News Today to find out.
Wow! Look at you laying down the law. Okay, so let's jump to let's jump to Nintendo, which I know is coming to California and not to Orlando. But you know, working with Universal Parks News Today, I'm sure that you've been following a little bit of it. I know that on
it's coming to Orlando. It's coming to Orlando.
I mean, eventually the next one's coming. Sure. It's coming to Epic Universe, but we actually got a sign that this one was going to be opening in California on in 2023. We don't know when in 2023, and it's a 12-month long year, just like all the rest of them. But there's so many things that are coming together with this, and every time I look at the stuff that they're doing in Japan, I get more excited about the idea of us getting one in the U.S., including there was this last week that we got to see, this Mario flower sipper. I need this in my life. Anybody who watches the show knows I have a popcorn and sipper problem. And man, the popcorn buckets and sippers they've been doing have been amazing. We have a guide to everything that is the Super Nintendo in Japan already on our website, either at universalparksnewstoday.com or wdwnt.com. But we're seeing a lot of construction pictures from this one, including this scene right here. That you can see all the stuff that's coming together. You can see a little bit of the rolling hills. You see a lot of rock work taking place. This thing's actually coming together. Will you be going out there to report on this live when it happens? Will you get shipped off to California to cover this?
I'm hoping. I mean, that would be ideal. At least I would love to be there for the opening. I look at the content we've got from Japan, and I just get more and more excited, and I just can't wait till it's somewhere that I can get to easy. Obviously California is not easy for me, but it's easier than Japan.
Yeah.
And I hope that we get some of that merchandise. In case you haven't seen, they are going to start. They have had some Super Nintendo merchandise out there, but they're going to open a store and kind of get people like hyped up, I think, for it. So I anticipate us seeing more and more, little things leading up to the opening in California. So I'm gonna spend all the money on that merchandise.
So speaking of money, there were a couple things that happened which we are normally used to reporting about Disney, but they've happened at Universal. And one of them is they've increased the price of the Universal annual pass and the price of the Universal Prime parking. It's been raised to $60. Now our article says raised to $60 again. Does that mean it has been 60, or it just got raised again from 50 to 60?
So it's been kind of fluctuating, and it seems like during like the peak seasons, like during Christmas, and now it's spring break, they've raised it to $60. During the slower season, it's dropped back down to 50 or 55. So I think it was 50. So I think it's been like a $10 increase. But again, it's just busier season. My annual pass includes the prime parking, so I'm good to go there. But it's not. I personally don't think it's worth spending the extra money. It really just puts you on the same level as security in the parks, and sometimes you can be in the far, far end of that parking area. And so I personally, there's been times that I've parked in prime parking, and I would have been mad if I'd paid $60 for that spot. It is technically prime. That's one of the only kind of negative things I have to say.
Gotcha. Okay, and then the price in passes, we did a whole episode on annual passes, Universal versus Disneyland versus Disney World, and I think collectively you talked everyone on the panel into going and getting a Universal annual pass. So, I mean, I assume you feel like that even with the price increase, it's still a good value.
Yeah, and I believe it's only a $50 increase, and I think it might only be for out-of-state annual passes, so that's really a minor increase. Again, I know that, like you said, we did that whole show, and I think I sold you on all the perks. So $50 doesn't sound like that much of an increase. Again, they're building an entire new park. You know, I don't mind contributing to the future of Universal and somewhere I'm going to go and enjoy.
And we'll talk more about Epic Universe in a future episode, but we kind of ran short on time with all the stuff that was going on. But one last thing I wanted to fit in here for us to talk about was this confrontation model. I am a huge old school Universal fan, and I hated the confrontation left. And so now I believe this is in the Tribute store that you can see this model from
the Legacy store.
Oh, the Legacy store, sorry. From the original confrontation attraction. Did you ever get to do that attraction, or
No,
it's because you're like 12. It's fine. But let me just tell you though that when I was a little kid and I got to ride that one, you would go in and you would get in this cable car and you would ride through and you would hear Kong in the distance, and there was somebody on the radio and they were like, "We're on the lookout for Kong and he's tearing apart the city," and then it was just really super well done. It was one of those attractions that I went, wow, why isn't this at Disney? Because it was so over the top, and it really kind of took Universal for me to that next level, just like the E.T. attraction and the Ghostbusters attraction. I loved that one. There were so many that were really cool that I really miss a lot. Do you find a lot of people like going by this model in the Legacy store and standing by it and crying or pointing it out to their children?
Absolutely. The whole Legacy store, it is just like kind of like a museum and like a history, and it is good to take your kids in there and say, hey, back when died or things like that. But that model is absolutely beautiful. I like miniature things and attractions, obviously, and just everything from like the graffiti on the walls, the cars, the windows, just little posters, the trees, the trash cans have little pieces of trash in it. It's so detailed. So not only is it like a beloved classic attraction that's gone that you can reminisce and look at, but it's also, even if you've never experienced the attraction, it's just something cool to look at.
Well, I can't wait to get there and take a look at it. It looks very cool to me. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about Universal, for being out there every day and capturing all this stuff for us. Don't forget UniversalParksNewsToday.com. There are videos on YouTube. Just everything that you could possibly want to know about Universal Florida and Universal Hollywood is out there. So, Annie, thanks as always for being on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Have a good one. So instead of moving on to a commercial, let's move right into March Madness, because if you guys have followed this show, and I talked about this last week, that ParksCenter sort of got its birth talking trash about the people who make the decisions about March Madness. And so because of that, and because Desi's on that panel, we've asked her to step away, and we've asked for an expert to step in. Mr. Patrick Hackett. There he is, sports coat and all. He's ready to talk about March Madness. We're very excited. We're going to talk about the mistakes that were made, because always mistakes are made, right? And that's our job, is to be in here and to tell the truth about what we would have done differently. Again, it happens on News Tonight every Thursday. The first round was last week. The panel consisted of Nick and Tom. Lauren was on the panel, and Piano Rob, for some reason, found his way into the panel. And and so, yeah, there you go. You be careful what you're pointing at over there, Coach. So let me go first to the man, the myth, the legend, and ask you, overall, how do you feel like things went round one, Mr. Hackett?
Overall, I think it was one of the less egregious years. I really only have one that really stuck in my craw. I still think we're dealing with a larger problem of seeding in these situations and not looking at the whole field when it's done, because there's a lot of stuff here that I don't think needs to be here, and there was a lot of attractions that only got one scene that should have got several, when we have several scenes from other attractions making it out there. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to show the bracket again in a second. You saw it briefly, but Coach, I mean, sports is your deal, dude. How do you feel about how it went?
Well, unlike the actual March Madness tournament, where upsets happen unexpectedly, there were several upsets that I felt like were just, I mean, I get that Tom wanted to take the wild card out of the audience, but if you're going to make that call, you know, Tom is historically known for trying to bully people into his way on the show. I'll say it.
What?
I think the fact that he has now controlled the seating of it. The seating, I agree with Patrick 100%. The seating is just, there were certain matchups where I was just scratching my head going, so you're telling me there are dozens of scenes that are better than that one? I take a guess which one I feel like got short-sighted on that one, but I think it's definitely a seating problem. And which resulted in tough decisions that people had to make. And then there were people that hadn't even seen the scene that they were voting on, which is another problem. And you had the video of it, but you didn't play the video, or they had to watch the video to know. Do a little show prep. Be ready to rock. Just my thought on that.
So for those of you who don't know, the March Madness this year is the top 64 show scenes, which is, it's weird the way the show scenes were broken out, because one of the show scenes is not a thing you actually see, but it's a thing that you feel. And it's the bugs leaving in It's Tough to Be a Bug. Oh my gosh, Emma's already rolling her eyes. What do you got over there, Emma?
I'm sorry, how did that make it into this bracket to begin with? Like, I get it, it's a memorable thing, but come on, like, who even goes on It's Tough to Be a Bug anymore? Like, and then it beating the elephant bathing pool, like a Mark Davis designed show scene. That's just wrong. It was blasphemy. I was mad.
Yeah, so here we go. Here's the one in question. It was an 8-seed bugs exiting. So here's the seeding issue again. Like the elephant bathing pool and the Jungle Cruise was number 9, but this one was seeded number 8. And again, it's not even a scene, Patrick. What went on here? Is this one that you sided with?
Oh, absolutely not. This is terrible. This is a miscarriage of justice of the highest ordinance. I mean, there's nothing else seriously going on in this world right now that we should all just be outraged at this. A Mark Davis scene getting completely destroyed by an attraction that literally is only there because nothing else can fit there. If there was a way to get the least memorable Pixar film out of that and replace it with something else, I'm sure they would. It's a fun gag, but it's a gag. And then Mark Davis, like, why are people against the Jungle Cruise? Did Dwayne Johnson do something personally to our panel? It's so upsetting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's very sad. So let's take a break down here. So Burning Town and Pirates of the Caribbean beat the pre-show for Alien Encounter, and I think part of that was most of the people in the panel were like, I don't know, I've never seen the Alien Encounter. That's fine.
I thought Tom should have fought harder.
And then
I felt like that's a Tom one he would fight for.
Really? So, but again, some of these, like Burning Town in Pirates of the Caribbean, there were other Pirates of the Caribbean scenes. I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but you guys tell me, don't you think there should have been just one allowed from each attraction, not multiples? Oh, no, you guys don't agree. You're all of you turned your head to the side at the same time. Fantastic. So I'm wrong. Let's move on. But the town burning beat out Alien pre-show, and it was a 5 seed versus a 12 seed, it looks like. And then we had the Star Destroyer Hangar Bay from Rise of the Resistance beat out the Life on the Farm from Living with the Land. I get that. That one seems to make a lot of sense. And then you've got the underground scene in Great Movie Ride versus the ballroom scene in the Haunted Mansion is our new lineup. But ballroom scene beat out Muppet Vision finale, which, again, I don't think the ballroom scene, and I don't know. What do you guys think about this one? Do you think that was the right move, ballroom scene, okay, you're nodding your heads, yes? Everybody agrees ballroom scene should have beat out Muppets? No, talk about that, Patrick.
That's another seating issue. Yep. It's another seating issue. That's a number 6 seed. I mean, that's such here we go, iconic scene.
Whoa, with a fresca, no doubt.
Yep. And it shouldn't be that low. And I don't like the Hitchhiking Ghost scene that much. I feel like it's overrated. It's over-merchandised. And I'd rather go with the ballroom. I mean, that's such a show-stopping scene. The Muppets Vision finale and also the Duck Butt finale did get robbed.
Okay, so let's go back to the other matchup that put us here with the ballroom, the underground with the gangsters versus hell. Was that matched up on purpose, the underground and hell? The underworld and hell? Was that on purpose?
What?
I mean, I don't know.
Mr. Toad's, it keeps coming up in these tournaments, and it's literally ridiculous. It wasn't a good attraction. If you really want to, go visit it in California, and I'm tired of hearing about how great it was with, we get to go to hell. That's great. I don't know if you've lived in the world for the past 2 years. It's not that fun.
Wow.
And it's a ride vehicle is a car. So we had to deal with that all, and I'm glad it's out and it's gone because it doesn't deserve to be in these conversations. It shouldn't be breathed into the air of best anything at Walt Disney World.
Okay.
I disagree.
Oh. Dissent. Go for it.
Yeah, I disagree. I think, I think it's a beloved thing. It was clearly memorable. Like, I think, that stands for something. Yes, I'm glad that it is out. Like, I don't think it deserved to go on, but I think that it definitely at least deserves a spot, in this conversation.
So let's move on though to the one that was the Olaf scene versus Burning of Rome. Burning of Rome happens for a moment and is memorable. But you whiz by it so fast. The only thing that you're left with, in my opinion, is that smell, which I think as a network we've always, like, we have a joke commercial about it. There's a candle about it, all that kind of stuff. But the Burning of Rome beat out Olaf's scene in Frozen Ever After, and I feel like, love him or not, like that scene with him coming to you, walking across by your boat, and welcoming you into that, I feel like that should have done better. Anybody know? You guys are all classic Epcot people, and you think, okay, all right, so Emma's one.
No,
but
I agree. Because, and no, you're right. Like, yes, the smell is very memorable, but honestly, that's the only good thing about that scene, in my opinion. Like, yeah, some cool lighting effects, and sure, the design that's on the, sure, whatever. But I think there's better Spaceship Earth scenes I don't think that needed to be included. I think put in the 1980s space moment instead of that. Like, I don't know. Some of the things that were picked are a little odd to me over other scenes.
Huge, though. Like, when you pull up into Rome, it just completely envelops you. Olaf's super impressive. Super impressive. And again, seeding issue. I think if this goes a higher seed and gets a weaker matchup, it gets the respect it deserves. But a lot of things that were new got pushed way down in honor of, classic things. And in some cases like this is just... It's so impressive. I think more about it than it's just a smell. There's a lot there.
When you say classic things, is there another word for classic you can think of?
No, there is not.
Okay, all right. By the way, I know we joke about the word that starts with an I and ends with onic, but it is one of those things that every time I hear it now, and I was in the chat a little bit during the show, every time it's like, you hear it every second, and there's got to be some other descriptive to it. If not, this should have been called the 64 most iconic,
Correct.
show scenes
And
of all
this is the-
time.
Correct, and was the big issue I had, and we all heard my rants about the ride vehicles last year and the stories last year.
Poor Kamila
but
and her
that's the
boats.
thing, like if you're saying best show scene, sure, how memorable it is and it has something to do with it, but you have to think about more than just that or how iconic it is. There's more to the scene. Does it tell the story? You know, is there some important piece of Disney history in it? Like, are there a bunch of animatronics? Like, does it take your breath away when you see it, when you first come into that part of the ride? Like, I honestly hate that iconic is still in the conversation with these arguments. I really do.
Let me ask this question, because again, we're working on time here, but let me just ask this question. I'm going to start with Patrick and go around. What do you think was the biggest upset of the night? Not seating wise, but the one where you were like, what are you doing?
I'm going to go with Desi's betrayal of everyone. I think that's the thing that made me the most upset, and it was the biggest upset when Desi decided to become Desi Diffendahl and push the Star Tours lobby past the future scene of Carousel of Progress.
So if it's Star Wars, yeah, which again is a reason we had to have her recuse herself from this panel.
Yes.
Tonight, so that she could do that. But thank you, Desi, for jumping in earlier on in the show. But just, yeah, that's a thing. Coach, is there one that you think was a large miscarriage of justice? Do you agree with Patrick? Is there a different one?
I agree, but I think we all know where I'm going to go with on this one. I mean, seriously. I mean, I can't even. I was furious. I was just so angry. I think it's it makes the entire experience. One of my kids' favorite things. Obviously, I'm a huge Donald guy, and I was blown away. I mean, it was a seating issue, but at the same time, I was like, what is going on? How are we having this conversation? So, I mean, and to be seated 13th, there are dozens of scenes that are better than Donald crashing. I mean, come on, the stretching room, I get it. You want to go with the 4 seed, that's fine, but 13? I mean, I thought it was seated wrong. It should be seated higher. Donald wins that. The stretching room's overdone. It's overused.
Well, when we talked about this last week, that's the thing that I'm always looking over my shoulder before the thing even happens, because I know it's happening and I want to see the entire part of the scene when it happens. So, I think it's one you could blink and miss. But, I mean, definitely should have been seated higher than something like the Bugs exiting scene. But, Emma, is there one that you think...
And then they shut that part of the ride down and no one cared. So there's that, too. So, just a thought.
Yep. Emma, one you think that was robbed?
I mean, I already mentioned the Bugs exiting thing, but another one that I thought was robbed was the Age of the Dinosaurs from Universe of Energy. Like, sure, the 3-headed troll from Maelstrom was cool, but honestly, like, again, that scene, when you enter that moment in Universe of Energy, it's just so cool. It takes your breath away, and you are immediately immersed in another place. And I think that was a seating issue too. I think that scene should have been higher. I don't know. The 3-headed troll from Maelstrom, like, it also just kind of creeps me out. So.
But there were a lot of very close calls in this one, though, right? I mean, there were a lot of that were 3 and 4. There was even a time where they kind of lost track with, completely.
And
with
no Jason to blame, so I was concerned at who was going to take the blame for that. I mean, we could still blame Jason, but we should blame people who are actually there.
Here's one to me that shouldn't have been a huge blowout and would not have happened if Jason was there, is Veggie Fruit.
Oh my goodness.
Being blown out.
WWNT.
Shut out by Catastrophe Can. Yeah. Shut out.
Yeah. Wow. What is that? Veggie Fruit is amazing. These are the same people that at EPCOT 30 were going into tears singing Veggie Fruit. Like, come on, what happened to everybody? Are we too young? No, it's the children who are out of touch.
Well, this is another one that was a shutout, but I think for the right reasons. I don't think the lift hill for Maelstrom should have been one of the 64 best show scenes. The lift hill, like, you are not the first to pass this way, nor shall you be the last. Eye opens, light in your face. I don't
Seated
know.
higher than
That
Donald.
was not on
Seated
there.
higher than Donald's scene. By the
Right,
way.
seated 11. So, I mean, that's
Ridiculous.
a shutout that I think should have happened. Speaking of the children, Patrick, I feel like this was a representation of the children. The Hall of Presidents, that reveal of the Hall of Presidents with like, 45, 46 now, like fully articulated animated figures. Do they just hate America? Is that the problem?
No, it's just the presidents, because American Adventure got the justice it deserved. That's a great scene there, but like, I don't know, man, this is an attraction I've never gone in. I have no intention of ever going in. It is a divisive piece of property. If you want to go back and look at Nathan Hartman did a fantastic article about why this should no longer be in the parks. It's half the people hate half of the people there for half of whatever reason in their brain they have. And, it's just, I don't think it's a great scene. The greatest thing I ever saw there is a cast member snuck in and recorded silly names over the actual names, and it's amazing. Find that on YouTube, but stay here right now.
Okay. Let's talk about matchups, or one other thing that I thought was interesting, because you mentioned the American Adventure, is as much as we feel like we have fanboys for Horizons, and as you saw, Emma is wearing her "If you think this is good, you should have seen Horizons" shirt. The fact that this montage from American Adventure beat Horizons, edged that out. I mean, okay, all right. Do you want to talk a little bit about that there, fella?
That scene brings a tear to my eye every single time that I've been in there. And
Oh, so you're not dead inside then? Okay, cool.
No, I'm not. No.
All right.
Big softy. Bravo Century, it's really, watching the video, it's an amazing showpiece. But I think when we talk about what's best, there has to be a reason that it's still here. And I think that doesn't weigh nearly as heavily into the conversation as it should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. All right. So with time running out, I want to do this. I want to go back through the next round, and I want to see where you guys feel like things should fall. And then when we come back last week, we can decide why they didn't fall that way. Because I have a strong feeling that whatever we think is right is not what's going to happen next week. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Some of it.
Correct.
All right. So Hitchhiking Ghosts versus Anubis. I feel like this has got to be Hitchhiking Ghosts. But Patrick, you think this should probably be Anubis because you don't like the Hitchhiking Ghosts?
No, I think it's still Hitchhiking Ghosts. I think Anubis was a cool scene. It was very original. But I think that Hitchhiking Ghosts is definitely a better scene, and they plussed it. They decided, hey, it's great, but let's do it better.
Yeah. All right. So for this one, the burning town from Pirates of the Caribbean versus the Star Destroyer Hangar Bay from Rise of the Resistance. Coach, what are you thinking, and who do you like in this one?
I think you're going to see Rise. I think it'll be closer probably than I anticipate, but I think it'll end up being a Rise situation just for the newness of it and the better technology. But a solid matchup.
Well, and Rise lost or beat the heck out of the Life on the Farm, Living with the Land 6-1. So that seems like that does fit. There are a lot of great movie ride scenes in this. I wonder why. And so also great movie ride, and we've got another matchup of movie ride versus Haunted Mansion. So this is another one, the Underground from the Gangsters versus the Ballroom. Emma, who do you like in that one?
I mean, this I would have a really hard time with this matchup if I was on the panel in the studio. I honestly think, as far as seeing the other great movie ride scenes that are in this bracket, I personally would go for the upset of Ballroom from the Haunted Mansion over the Underworld scene, just because that ballroom scene, I think, is the best scene in the Haunted Mansion, hands down. And the first time I went on it, it took my breath away. And I still, every time I think of the Haunted Mansion, I think of that scene. Where I think that Anubis should also upset Hitchhiking Ghost, because I think that's the better scene than the Underworld scene.
Yeah, I can see that, and that's gonna, I think, factor into their decision is that we've got 2 that are Haunted Mansion and 2 that are Great Movie Ride. I don't see both of either going through. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they're going to say, well, look, we sent Hitchhiking Ghost through. We're not going to send Ballroom through. So maybe they go Underworld Gangsters, but I agree with you. Anubis is a better scene, but the seating of it says that Anubis was seated with an 8, and the Underworld with the Gangsters was seated a 3. Ballroom was 6, and Hitchhiking Ghost was 1. Yeah.
I look forward to seeing Tom's meltdown when one of the Great Movie Rides gets. That's what I'm excited. This is ridiculous. He'll start moving his arms.
All right, let's keep moving. Pre-show of Tower of Terror versus the jail scene from Pirates of the Caribbean. To me, this is a no-brainer, but Mr. Hackett, what are you thinking on this one?
I think it's a no-brainer, too. It should definitely be Pirates going through there. I mean, that scene is amazing. It's adorable. It could be plush. The pre-show of Tower of Terror is not the best Tower of Terror thing. I think that's the Fifth Dimension. Yeah. So I see jail scene in a walk. It should be pretty easy for that. Honestly, I think jail scene should walk through this whole half of the bracket. I think it's the best thing on this side.
Interesting. And we talked about some personal feelings of Burning of Rome versus the montage scene. This one I feel like is going to be a little bit closer, Coach. Which one are you liking in that one?
I think I'm going to go Burning Rome, just because I don't know if that's the right scene to pick, but I think that's the one that's going to win. Just because I think people have that smell it's a powerful sense, and people always kind of remember that. They talk about the different scenes that were like, I can smell the when they go through the original Figment and all that stuff. So people really remember that type of experience, which I think will be what will end up winning.
Yep,
but close.
Agree. I have a problem with the seating on this one, too. The cockpit from the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, which is amazing to actually be able to walk into the cockpit. I think that maybe Nick even made that statement, versus the Renaissance scene from Spaceship Earth. I don't think that's the best scene from Spaceship Earth. Why that's a 3 and the cockpit was 11. I feel like the cockpit should just run away with this. What do you think, Emma?
This is the hard thing. I hate that these two things are put up together, because I think Renaissance is much better than Burning of Rome, in my opinion. So that's the thing. I feel like, but I will say though, I did get the feels, especially when the one time I was an engineer and was sitting in the back and just could really be engulfed in the entire cockpit. I have a feeling that one, especially if Burning of Rome goes on, cockpit's gonna upset Renaissance. But again, I kind of want it to go the other way. I kind of want the American Adventure montage to go on and the Renaissance to go on over the cockpit, just because it's the better Spaceship Earth scene, and we have other amazing Star Wars things in this bracket.
Okay, good point. Dinosaur pre-show versus the Yeti. I think a working Yeti, in my opinion, beats a dinosaur pre-show. But Patrick.
Man, it's really tough. Tom's saying to think about the Yeti when it's working, but we all know that it doesn't work, and it's been there. The dinosaur pre-show, I would miss that pre-show more than if they took the entire attraction away. And I love dinosaur, but I could just go to the pre-show. It's fantastic. I think there was not enough pre-show love here, so I hope that pre-show goes on.
Okay. This is the one that Emma's most excited about, the bugs exiting from It's Tough to Be a Bug versus the finale from Flight of Passage. I assume you're going Flight of Passage on this one?
Yeah, and that finale made me cry, so yes, that finale. Not this, again, the bugs shouldn't even be in this bracket. So
yeah, this needs to be the end of the
finale
bugs. If the bugs go through, there's a miscarriage of justice. Wizard of Oz scene versus the intersystem transport ship from Rise of the Resistance. I don't know, again, number 9 seed on that one, Coach? I mean, what are you feeling on this one?
Yeah, it's almost like the person that did the seating really liked the Great Movie Ride. No, I think it's I still think Oz goes through. I think it's going to be closer than that particular individual would like, but I think Oz ends up going through it. So,
Catastrophe Canyon versus the Stretching Room. Now, to me, I feel like the Stretching Room is the one, but Patrick, thoughts?
I mean, can I eliminate both and bring something else back? I don't think either of these deserve to be in this round. I guess it's the Stretching Room, and I guess we're going to lay it on the iconic and that it's still here. And I guess that's enough to carry it.
Well, I mean, I feel like, Coach, how do you play this when the Stretching Room took down Donald? do you root for the stretching room to go all the way now that it took out your favorite, or do you have some animosity toward it and want it to like fall at this point?
Only when it's a finals matchup. So no, I want them to fall. I want it to get destroyed.
Okay.
And that way I can claim it was just a total fluke.
There you go. All right. I like it. The winch auction. Hey, look, it's Patrick. That's not what I meant to do. The winch auction versus the pre-show from Muppet
Patrick's
Vision.
getting auctioned?
Yes, and winch. The pre-show from Muppet Vision. I love the this one I quote all the time, and I feel like that they got rid of the winch auction because they felt like it wasn't PC. So, is it PC, Emma, to vote for the winch auction?
I mean, again, I kind of question this being in this bracket as well, but it's here, so we have to deal with it, right? But honestly, the pre-show for Muppet Vision, if that should have been seated higher to begin with, and if that doesn't move on and upset the auction scene, so again, the panel's doing something wrong. Like again, I agree with what Tom said. That pre-show is one of the best Muppet things that is out there. Period. So it needs to move on. And I think it could take the whole thing.
I'm going to say with this one it seems like a no-brainer to me that the Departures Lobby from Star Tours should not be seated number 10, and the Fifth Dimension from Tower of Terror, although I know that, Patrick, you've said that that's a better Tower of Terror scene.
So good.
Do you agree that should beat the Star Tours? Like, when you walk into Star Tours and you see the Star Speeder and R2 and C-3PO and you see Akbar up in the
See, when
the
you
top.
start talking like that, I feel bad.
Good.
Maybe,
That was my
you're
intent.
right.
That was where I
Maybe
wanted
you're
to, because I could sense you going Fifth Dimension. I wanted to make sure to
But
kind of
still-
Dean Jones you in the right direction, if you
not
know what I
again.
mean.
But no, Tower of Terror is the greatest attraction ever built until some other attractions came along. So the Fifth Dimension scene is amazing. They've made great changes to it. Summer Night-tastic had some great changes that were added. You get the nice cool photo in there. It's just great. I think it's top to bottom a great scene. And I want Star Tours to be punished for Desi's insolence.
Okay, I get. So you're coming at it from an angry point of view. You're an angry little elf. Okay, all right. So Savannah Reveal versus the Running Carnotaurus. Man, I don't know about this one. I kind of love that they put the safari in as a show scene in general. Like, I think that was an interesting take. But Coach, what are you thinking? What are you picking in this one?
I think this might actually be a little bit more of an upset situation. As much as I want the Safaris to win, I kind of feel like it's was seated maybe a little too high, and I think we may see an upset here. Not that I want to see an upset, but I kind of feel like with the way that they voted for Dinosaur, there were some people that were very passionate about that scene, and I feel like they're going to remain passionate. And I don't know that the people that weren't passionate about it are going to be that passionate enough to vote Safari over, if that makes any sense. So I think you're going to see the upset here.
So we're getting down to the final three here, but I have a problem with this one in general. Flying over London with Peter Pan,
Oh my goodness.
and
Yeah.
the Big Blue World from the Living Seas. Now, both of these, it's an 11 seed, a 14 seed, and the ones they beat the Shaman of Songs, arguably one of the best animatronics we've ever seen. The only animatronic in that attraction. Again, there's a big reveal when you come around the corner and you see her there. And Flying Over London with Peter Pan beat that 5-2. I mean, Flying Over London is an effect from 1955, pretty much, that they copied from 1971. For me, again, I love Peter Pan. It's the I word of attractions. It's very cool. I love it, but I don't. I mean, and the cave scene from Flight of Passage over Big. I don't think we should be here. So Patrick, walk me through this. Talk me off the ledge.
Number one, I do believe it was Piano Rob who said he was uncomfortable with the amount of the Banshee breathing underneath him. One of the coolest effects ever to hit a theme park. So really sorry about that. That we brought you to that world of reality when you could just see, glow tape on a street and a little cycle of lights run through. Peter Pan is so overrated, man. Like, it's 90-minute wait for that nonsense. Come on. I think this should be Big Blue World. I think the Big Blue World song is amazing. I think the projection of the characters into the water is great. As everyone said, not the best attraction, but really a show-stopping part of that one. So I'm hoping that's what happens. But I'm sure we'll get nostalgia and Pan will go through. ET's better than Pan. Same ride system, ET's better.
All right, so I have a problem with the 2 that went through in that one, and I have a problem with the 2 that went through in this one as well. The 180 top of Spaceship Earth. I'm never have I said to somebody, you know what you're not going to want to miss is when the car turns around and you see into the black void of space. You're not going to want to miss that. And then the Art Deco future of Horizons, but the way that we got here is that beat the scene explodes in Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which I know most people don't love Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I get that. It sits on the bones of Great Movie Ride, but the scene exploding, and I think that's a much better thing than the top of Spaceship Earth. And then the pre-show to Rock and Roller Coaster versus the Art Deco future. It's like, wait a minute, like you were just doing there, Patrick. So, I mean, to me, again, we shouldn't even be here. And I don't know what you pick in that one to move forward. Coach?
I mean,
I don't. I mean, this is a hat on a hat. I don't even know how to even describe this. It's so bad. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's kind of like when you look at something and you're like, how about this? How about this? How about this? How about this? And it's like anybody who had anything would look at either of the 2 that were beaten in either of these picks, these plastic, and just go, wait, what? So yeah. I can basically, you're basically showing me a planetarium scene, and I have to get excited about that. I saw that when I was like 6. I don't know. Both of these need to be just thrown out. Neither of them are going to get past this. You know, the one that gets past this round is going to get destroyed the next round anyway. So it's it's almost irrelevant.
Yeah. What were you going to say about that though, Emma?
Oh no, I was just saying I personally think that the Art Deco future is better than the top of Spaceship Earth. And that's the thing. Like, I think that scenes from Spaceship Earth should not be in there. And that, again, it's not the best scene from that ride that is in this bracket.
By the way, Living the Dream, thank you for the $20 super chat. Thanks for the great show. Aww. Duck Butt Forever.
Duck Butt Forever.
Yes.
Thanks,
Duck Butt Forever. Yeah. So what did they say on the show? It was butt stuff. That was the thing.
Butt stuff.
Yeah, butt stuff.
Whew. All right. So one left in this to take a look at, and then get ready because I want you guys to tell me what you think is going to go all the way. But Three-Headed Troll versus the Flight into Imagination from Journey into Imagination. I will say, you know, as a super fan of Journey into Imagination and someone who actually worked that original attraction, that it's that was to me and if you go back and you watch our Back to the Future on that, you will have the most appreciation for that scene, and it's seated number 1. And personally, I'd like to see it win the whole thing because of the way it was put together, the ingenious way it was put together, and just the magic of the scene and the technology together seems like that should win the whole thing. The three-headed troll, and I know you mentioned this earlier, Emma, like, probably should not have beaten the Age of Dinosaurs, because that was the thing too I think was the most frustrating to me, was that reveal when that opens up and you see all the dinosaurs. That was the best part of that attraction, and I think I tried to beat talk Desi off the ledge last week about that one when she was on, is that I feel like that one got robbed. But Emma, you were talking about that one earlier.
Yeah, I agree. Like, this really should be Age of the Dinosaurs versus Flight into Imagination. But that being said, like, Flight into Imagination, like that, yeah. I agree. I think that is one that could go all the way as well and win the whole thing. It is beautiful. It is breathtaking, and it's just I feel like that is the heart of that ride.
The heart of Tafiti.
Yeah.
The heart of Tafiti.
I wish I could have been on it in person, but I was not alive then. But.
All right, so let's do this, and let's start with you, Patrick. And I want to know, based on what's left, do you have a favorite to go all the way at this point?
So when you're looking at this, you got to look at what matchups remain for it and who has a tougher road. I feel like the right side of the bracket is a little bit easier, and I feel like Flight into Imagination is not going to hit any roadblocks until it either runs into Wizard of Oz or Stretching Room or maybe the Fifth Dimension. I feel like Flight into Imagination should walk to the finals and it should win. That's where I'll take back, it needs to still be here because that was truly an error of everyone involved in that process, unlike Horizons, which needed to go.
Well, and I mean that one won 6-1 over the 16 seed Rainforest. So, and it's a small world, an amazing attraction. But I'm not sure that that's the best thing, and this is seeded correctly, I think. So, I don't know why the Rainforest was in there, but this is seeded correctly. Coach, what do you see going all the way?
I agree with Patrick. I think it's definitely going to be a finals matchup. I think it's Flight into Imagination versus the finale of Flight of Passage. And I think, while I think Imagination should win, I think you're going to see what I would call an upset of the finale of Flight of Passage just due to the panel being younger in a lot of cases. So I think that it's going to be a victim of people not having experienced the ride firsthand. So I'm going to go with Flight of Passage finale.
Okay, and Emma?
Well, I agree with both of you, what you've said and the points you've made about this. But I honestly think that something we don't want to forget about is that ballroom haunted mansion scene. Again, if we're going, there's a lot of nostalgia and that I word on this panel, so I think that could also possibly sneak up on us and take the win as well.
Okay. Well, if you want to and you missed it, you can go check out that, 17-hour show that they did Thursday night.
I had to fast forward through Liquid Magic, and I love Pete and Nick dearly, and I think Liquid Magic's an amazing idea, but I just need to get to the voting parts.
Well, and the thing about it is I'm surprised that during a March Madness show that Tom would do a monologue and then do all these other pieces on the night, the psychotic comments, things like that. I feel like March Madness should be March Madness, but then again, we had our pieces before this one, but again, not a 3-hour show, or 4 or 5 hours, or however long it went. They were on from 9 p.m. until 1 a.m. doing the 2 brackets that they were doing. So, again, God bless them. Lots of content for you guys if you want to go back and watch that. But watch News Tonight. Come back, take a look, judge them harshly, and then come back here next Sunday night where we will have our regular show, and then at the end we'll bring Mr. Hackett back to tell us the truth about how it all went down. And so thank you, Patrick, for being on. I appreciate it. Coach, Emma, thanks for being on. Matt, thanks for trying to be on. And for Desi, thanks for jumping in at the last minute. We appreciate it. And if you are a WIGS member, we love our WIGS members. Thank you guys so much for being part of the WDWNT Interglobe Society. We have a quick post show for you after this, where we can decompress and talk about some of the other stuff that maybe either we missed or that's on your mind. If you want to know more about how to become a WIGS member, go to patreon.com/WDWNT. If you're still with us watching, please make sure to give us a big like. It helps people to find us, and we are super competitive, and also Patrick's ego is very fragile. So please make sure to give us a thumbs up. We appreciate it greatly. We thank you.
Hey, real quick, Rob, before you sign off, I just wanted to say this. Not having a chance to meet Easy WW Josh, rest in peace, Josh. We love you, and I just want to.
Yes,
I know he made. Josh. Before I met him, all the touring plans and the literally tens of thousands of families he helped. Wherever he's at, I hope he's using his amazing humor and making somebody laugh and question whether he's being sarcastic or real. So I just want to say that out loud because I think he's a genius. And so
yeah, he was an amazing individual. He was an amazing individual, so funny, so smart, so bright, and he will be missed. And for those of you who don't know, our friend from Easy WDW passed away, Josh, and Tom had a heartfelt basically tribute to him on News Tonight. But yeah, it was a shock, and we will miss him greatly. So thanks for bringing that in, Coach. Appreciate it, Josh, wherever you are. We miss you, and again, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for being with us every Sunday night at 8 p.m. We'll have another show next week, and we cannot wait to be on to talk to you guys about Disney, about the parks, about the hotels, the ships, duck butts, all that stuff we're going to be talking about. So thank you guys so much. And again, if you are a Wigs member, we will see you in the post show. Don't forget, though, we also have Deep in the Plus. I'm going to talk about that just because it's moved to Wednesday nights now. We used to be on Tuesday nights. We're now on Wednesday nights on unplannedDowntime.com. Please join us for Deep in the Plus. This week we're going to be talking about Bolt. And then on the 30th, we're going to be talking about Moon Knight, doing a watch-along. So hopefully you'll join us for both of those. And again, thank you so much for everything. We appreciate the Super Chats. We appreciate you being with us in chat. Be kind to each other. Have a great week, and be safe out there. Thanks, Scott. Thanks.
Done.